and today we'll be doing the rendering setting. We'll also finish up the third shot, which will be the banana with the headphones. Gonna be wrapping it up, so let's get into it. So first of all, what I want you guys to do is go to render. We're gonna do the render settings first because I forgot before that I'm gonna be doing three separate I'm gonna have you doing three separate Blender files. So I'm gonna have the settings, the render settings set up, and I'll just go ahead and do it to the first one we did, the with the first render with the first headphones. But I could just do that on the side. It'll be easy. But first of all, I like to go is I'm in the viewport. That's the viewport, so don't worry about it. But the render part is I usually the noise threshold is basically saying like, hey, it'll render, but you can stop at a certain point where there's some noise, but this certain amount of noise is fine for us. So I usually say at 0.05. You could kind of increase it, decrease it. It'll kind of just adjust the render time. So it's just based on the scene. But for this one, I do 0.05. And I set the samples to 512. Usually set them on even. It just works well with the system. It works in like evens and odds. Sorry, it works in evens. And if you have a GPU, that's great. It'll be faster. Just click on use GPU and it'll make it faster. But if you don't, it'll just be at CPU. But that'll be slower. But if that's what you got, that's all good. Don't worry, you can always adjust it. And then lights are fine. Don't really touch lights. And this part, light bounces, it's at default 12. So this turns how strong like the roughness, the light will be around the scene. I just set it at 12, just put it up high. But if it's at, you can always leave it at 12. But for me, I'm just kind of pushing it ahead. And usually you can just leave all these alone for what we have. And let's see, to go into render view, we can all go all the way down to the color management, and that will determine the exposure of the headphone. Since we're doing product animation, we can go ahead and reduce the exposure. So I brought mine all the way down from 0 to you can have -2, and the gamma is a contrast. So this kind of is more of like how the lighting for product animation is, which is like a lower exposure, higher contrast. For me, that's how I like it. And for these are really important right here. So you see view. I do it to Chronos PR neutral. It has the strongest like color values in it. You can always try the other ones as well. Play around with them. But for me, I like the Chronos PPR neutral, and this is just like how high the contrast you want. So you can reduce it to that amount. I just do very high contrast, maybe sometimes high contrast if it's a bit too high. But usually that's what I do for the renders for render settings. And then the other important part is, the type of resolution I have is 1920 by 1080, and that's a typical resolution. But you can always adjust it to like maybe a social media resolution, or maybe you can like flip it, or you can do 4K resolution, which in this case we're not doing that. But if you want to do that, go ahead. And then if we had the whole shot, I would start from 0 to about whatever the last frame is. But since we're doing different segments of the headphones, we will be doing small segments of we'll do 56 and 94, and then 24 frames per second. That's good, typical frames. And then usually I'll do image render each frame, and then you can do PNG, which is good, but then open EXR. It keeps the colors more retained. PNG and JPEG are great, but for EXR, I usually get that one. And later we're gonna do video editing in Blender, and we're gonna combine the EXR, and then we'll render that as an animation by itself. So I usually just re-render in Blender. I'll show you guys later, but usually I'll just stay at that. But that's pretty much it for the render part. But now I will save this as another file. So I did save incremental. Last time I should have done save like Apple something. That's my bad, but because I had green shot 1. So I'm just gonna name it banana, but I just do banana shot or banana. And so you'll definitely know which is which. But for now, we will go into solid view, and I will use Blender Kit to get a banana part. So we will delete these. We don't need this anymore. The banana shot will be really simple. It'll be 2 bananas in the back. And let me see if I imported. No, I didn't import a banana. But I'm just gonna do banana. Let's just see. I'll do this. I'll do this low poly one. I also have some other Blender tutorials on lighting, some using modifiers and squishing to learn more about Blender. But let's get on to the next video and let's just keep doing this headphone product animation. Oh, also we are going to be not using this one anymore, so we can hide it. And the headphones we animated before, they're already animated, so we can just kind of start maybe right at where it starts, and then we can go to maybe a little bit right before the frame ends. So let's go to where that frame is. Let's see, and let's there we go. I like to put the frame right before it ends so it just doesn't stop at the end. So it looks like it's continuously going. But pretty much, let's just render the bananas in the area of like where the animation is. So it's kind of up to you how you want to do it, but I'm just gonna play around. So let's do I for keyframe. Let's go all the way down. I could just like put the banana in frame, and we can just go all the way down, and I think I'll just have it float up like this. And remember to do interpolation, do linear, so it doesn't like just continuously goes and it doesn't like slowly move up and slowly move down. And then we can just duplicate this. Let's just rotate this and press P to make it to make it a separate object, and click on object animation, object data animation. I guess I didn't put that in the shortcut. But let's delete these. Press X to delete the keyframes. So that one still has keyframes. This one we don't want it to have the same one. And we can just adjust the size. Maybe you can have it come up and down. Maybe we don't want it to be too big. Remember the keyframe, we want it to be just outside of it. And then can we move it like that? And let's make it linear and let's see how it looks. Okay, cool. Maybe you can increase the keyframes, make the keyframes wider so it's a little slower because it's a little faster than what I want. And then it will look like, how's that gonna look? It's gonna look like that. And that's good enough. Simplicity is all we need. And let's just change the color of the scene. So it's gonna be yellow. So the top one has red, so we'll just change it to yellow. That's good. And then that one's fine, but we can keep it blue. It'll be the same color. Maybe bring it down like that. And let's see if we can just rotate. We're using the same gobo, so I think we can just do that. And let's change the lights. Let's change their colors. More of yellow. Make that yellow. We'll let's make that a little blue. We can change that a little bit, but let's change the yellow marks. And one of them looks kind of green. The back side. Okay. Maybe you can adjust the. We don't want the colors to be too yellow, otherwise they'll be lost. So we can do maybe blue. Okay. And then the platform, we also want to. Last time I did forget to change the platform to a different color. So let's make that yellow. The other one we have to make it red, but it's all good. It's all good. And then the glow will also be the emission right here, or if you want to go to shaders like before, go over here, and then let's make it yellow. Maybe the platform could be not as yellow, maybe just a little bit darker, but at least it still has that yellow in it. So let me just kind of see what we're dealing with here. Go to where we have the lights. Let's see what's making that blue. Let's reduce the light. Sometimes it works to just get rid of all the lights. Okay, so it's these. Let me see. Oh, that's the blue one. Maybe we could just reduce the saturation. Oh, as well as this is also red. So let's just make that color. Even also getting rid of some colors too could help, or some lights could help. Let me see. And yeah, this doesn't hurt to play around. And if you don't have to exactly follow mine, this is just good. Okay, that's really bright. We're gonna reduce that. We want that to be like that. That looks kind of nice. And then also that color could be like that, and then we could just move it forward so the lights get shown. You know, sometimes maybe my setup isn't, you know, the most perfect, but you know, as long as we get the lighting in, we're good. And let's see what's causing the blue. What is the blue? What's causing the blue? Let me bring this down. Color. That's fine. Maybe some lights aren't working. You could probably take this out. Okay, that one's fine. It's a gobo. Okay, that one's definitely pushing it. You can maybe reduce it a little bit. Honestly, I think this is actually a little better than I thought it would be. Because it, you know, it kind of brings it out. If we go in animation, go like that, that actually is not bad. And I actually think we can stay at this one. So I'm happy with this. And so now that we have the render settings, we have to render everything, which that's the part that'll take the longest, or it could be shortest. If you're using like the AV engine, which is less realistic than the cycles, it take a little less, but the cycles could take about like an hour. Maybe each like shot, it's about 35-45 minutes. But I would just go ahead, and how you render it is you just go to render, and so you can render the image, and it'll render the frame that it's on. So like this shot, I render this shot, I render that shot. But if you render animation, it will render the frames that from start to finish. And so render audio, I've never done render audio, but that's good to know. But pretty much what we gotta do is just render it. And let me just show you how to use the composition in the render before, because the rendering animation is not the last part. So let me just render the scene really quick. So as you can see here, this is the rendered scene. And what we want to do is to make it even better is to go to, this is the composite. So we can adjust the colors. We can add some like a little like black cover around it, which is the vignette. I'll show you. But what we got to do is click view and then click what I like to, oh, sorry. What I like to do is click view, alt, right mouse. And so this will move the whole thing. And usually if you put your mouse in the corner and you bring it down, this will bring it down so we have more space for the nodes. And the cool thing about that Blender has done is, oh, let me do that. That Blender has done is it's added presets and nodes. So before you would have to set up a lot of nodes, but now it's set it for you. So there's a vignette, which is one I like to use a lot. So this creates like the black like frame. And so It lets you have like a cool, like it adds more depth to it instead of just like a flat one. Yeah, a little bit of darkness, and it's usually what a lot of like animations will use. I use that in everything actually, but there's that one. Then you can also like adjust the scale and stuff. But I'm pretty happy with what I have. Also, the BOGO is like kind of low poly, which is like the shadows that we used from last episode. If you want to check that out, but pretty much they have all these shadows and stuff. It's just the image has low quality. But one thing I want to do is that's not on here is RGB curve. So this lets us control the colors of the scene and the contrast. So if I want like, hey, less green, that's a little not as yellow. Let's decrease the yellow. Just bring it down a little bit. Maybe want to bring up the blues. Let's bring down the reds. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. Maybe it's cool, but I don't think it's exactly. Okay, that's fine. And then for the contrast, you can have 2 dots. So this controls like the lights and darks. So it's kind of just like playing around. You see how I did there? It's like, no, we don't like that. Or we can bring it down, or you can just have 1. Sometimes you could just need 1. And then, that's all we need. And one other tool I like to use is tune image. So this can control the contrast, the color boost, and clarity. So how sharp it is. You can maybe up the contrast a little bit, see how it is. See what you like. You don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing, but you can have your own colors. If you're fine with the way it is, then don't worry about it. But maybe you can boost the color, maybe make it a little sharper. Yeah. And at that point, it's just like what you like. And one thing, let's see, is it here? I'm gonna use the glare node. So the glare node lets us, you know how the platform is like glowy, like right when I put it, all the lights start glowing up. Well, everything that has emission will start glowing up, or like like a strong light on it will make it glow. So there's different types of glares, and I like using bloom, and so that's a simple one. So if you click M to mute, it'll do that. And so it's a little bit too strong, so we can always reduce the light here. And you just kind of just play around like a higher one, a lower one. Usually medium's good. And this is pretty much the composition, like all these nodes that just help boost it instead of just rendering, and that's it. You can add a little more variety and colors to it. And there's tons of nodes, but just to start out, these are good nodes to start out with. And so now all we got to do now is render out the other scenes. So I had you guys do 3 different files of them. So go ahead. We'll have we'll render each one individually. And all you gotta do is go to each file, click the render, make sure it's the right settings. You could get away with it because it has 3 different shots, 3 different colors. So when it's moving, it'll change, but it'll have its own kind of world space. And once you have that, we can then go into the video settings. And I might do some adjustments to my scene. I might change some BOGOs just for personal preference, But what we have is good. So let's just render it really quick, and then let's go into video editor. So I just on my own time, I kind of just like did some rendering and stuff, but I pretty much just kind of did my own changes to it. But it's about the same concept. And how you want to add the videos is because if you have animated them in different frames, you're gonna have different images. So don't worry. So all we gotta do is go to add. Also, we go to video sequence right here, and you'll get this scene. And if you click on sequencer and preview, you'll get both. So what I want to do is go to image sequence. And so these are all the frames we rendered. And so I'm going to click on the banana one we did. And I did a couple renders and stuff to make sure it's good. But all I did was go here. Here's the banana one. And right now I had different gobos and stuff, but use the ones you have. They're perfectly fine. But all I did was was put them together. Now they're different frames. And if it's really bright and stuff and you start a different file and stuff, just remember to make it a negative exposure. So let me go to, goes that down there. So very high contrast. When I imported it, it was like this because I guess the settings weren't right because I had a different file I opened them in. But pretty much you can just kind of play around here. If the gamma, All right. And I'm happy with what I have here. And so, 4 seconds, about all that work for 4 seconds. I mean, product animation, you know, it takes a while, but it definitely is fun and worth it, in my opinion. But now what we gotta do is go to right here. Let me bring that down. Next, this is how many frames we'll have. I'm pressing the arrows to go back on the frame. So what this frame right here, let's go all the way down there. Just gotta adjust it slightly. So now we go to frame 0, and let's see, just bring that down. And pretty much about 92 frames. It's about 4 seconds, so that's a really short like product animation. But pretty much all you gotta do is click on render, and also when you have this open, anything in the scene here won't render. So it only render what's in the video editing. So if you want to render whatever in your scene, you just have to delete this. And so if we also want to save this to a folder. So I have my own folder here. Let's do all renders. And sometimes you'll put all renders 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've been through that. But what we want to do is go to video. This is where we adjust all the frames and all that. And you go to encoding. Matroska, I do MP4. H.264 is fine. And pretty much you can adjust the quality of it. I just keep it at medium quality. But now it'll be really quick. So if I click on render animation, we won't do every frame because it has all the frames rendered, all the animation done. And that's it. And next is what we have for the scene. Well, my kind of customized shots, but yours will look different. But pretty much that'll be it. If you guys have any questions about doing a product animation and everything, let me know. Maybe I went over something I missed out. Don't forget, I also have my Gumroad with a bunch of free 3D assets, and as well as a bunch of other tutorials on my YouTube channel for Blender. You guys made a headphone product animation. Congrats. I know it's a lot, but just go back if you want to just remember stuff. Maybe you can start making your own product animations and figure it out. So appreciate you guys taking the time to learn. I hope you guys learned a lot. And I will see you guys on the next video, and have a good one.